Dads podcast. I am Jay Foch alongside our guest today, straight from Plaster Student Union. And if you guys are like, what is Plaster Student Union? It is where you do plastering for walls.
For students, by
and
students.
Students go there to get plastered.
No, they don't quite do that, but they do go to the great place to build some community on campus. You can have a chance to join one of our 300 plus student organizations. Go to Chick-fil-A. Go
Terry,
to Starbucks.
You didn't let me finish. I was going to say they get plastered on food.
Gotcha.
Yes,
my apologies.
because you got delicious options over there, and you still got the theater.
We do indeed,
and the bowling alley, right?
R.I.P. to the bowling alley.
Oh no! Okay, see, I'm going old school. When I was that was my days of Missouri State and Plaster Student Union. So
go find that person that ripped out the bowling lanes.
Oh, I will. Where are they? That's our job today.
Okay, you might be already talking to, but that's okay.
Well, Terry, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it, and we always like to start with, since this is obviously Good Dads. You are a dad of two sons and a daughter. So tell us a little bit about your family.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got a 15, a 13, and a COVID 4-year-old. It's part of our family. And we spend, my wife and I spend a lot of time tracking down kids, planning out what our weekends will look like, what our days will look like, what our nights will look like. Even to make this event happen tonight, we had to rearrange a few things and call some audibles. And that's just life when you have multiple kids playing zone defense, as we say, for the parents that have more than two or more than one child at that point in time. It's not man to man, person to person at that point.
Right. Now, when you say COVID baby, is it because of COVID that you had the baby, or was it during COVID?
It was during.
It was okay, because I'm just saying, like, there's we talk about baby boomers, and everybody came back from the war, and then they all had babies, and they were saying, like, during COVID everybody's locked into their house, and then from COVID they're all going to have COVID babies. So I didn't know what kind of COVID, like, you had the baby when COVID hit, or it was because of COVID that you had the baby.
Oh no, definitely the former. Just okay, we got bored in the house and had some things. Trying to figure out what else to do when you're on lockdown, and just like everybody else, there you are.
That's great activity. So tell us a little bit about, we can start with the COVID child if you would like. Sure. I'm sure that's a 4-year-old. Is it, everybody says terrible twos. Is it terrible fours now?
I found that the teenager stage has been the most difficult, because that's when they're the most communicative and the most emotive. At that point in time as well, learning how to, manage those emotions, mostly unsuccessfully. Yeah. Especially when they're in daycare and they're around other stimuli and trying to figure out, how to balance relationships with other kids that, have all those different experiences. And what I found is, having older kids has influenced significantly the younger one. No question about that.
Really?
I was actually talking about that yesterday with another parent from one of our soccer teams, and he's also got teenage kids plus a newborn, or not newborn. She's 1 now, and just the influence those older two have on the younger one, significant. Language, skills and experiences, but then just that language piece is incredible, just to see how quickly they can.
So they pick up on the older ones.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
He's walking around saying "bruh."
Oh,
and, all the brain rot language. It's not great. Not my finest parenting moment.
I'm just going to remind you for a second, like, we're around the same age. So we had that language when we were younger too. It was just different.
I don't recall that.
It was more like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it was some of those. It was pretty much anything from Wayne's World.
Yeah, I'm sure it was rad.
Yes, very much so. Yeah. So you have a 15-year-old and then
13-year-old daughter,
13, 15, and then a 4. So the 4-year-old is learning teen language.
Absolutely. On a night by night basis. Incredible. Whatever the new TikTok trend that might be, or whatever the viral thing happening around school is. Yes, he is learning those things. Not because we want that to happen, but as the kids get older, they get a little bit more freedom, a little free will in their choices.
Did So did the old, like, I hear this sometimes, like, it just all depends. Like, did the older kids, were they jealous of the baby, or did they take the role on as big brother and big sister immediately, or did they have to grow into it, or maybe they have never grown into it yet? I don't know. Cause I hear that from different people. They're like, oh no, like they might be very jealous of the baby, you know? And I didn't know if that was the case with them.
No, no jealousy, I would say, but certainly disparate responses in both the announcement that we were having a younger sibling for them, but then also kind of as the 4-year-old's grown up, kind of disparate responses in how engaged they are with him too. You know, one's taken almost as like a pseudo third parent, which is both good and bad. Yeah. But then the other one, we don't need to reveal who's who here just yet, but one struggles to communicate and connect with the 4-year-old, and you know, that's to be expected. Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe it's because I've heard this before too, and I don't know what you think about this, but if there's like a little bit of an age gap, maybe that helps. Cause my stepdaughter is 7 and me and my wife's son is 14 months. Mm-hmm. So there's, you know, obviously a little bit of gap there. So she's taken on the role of big sister, is like, she loves it. And like, you can just tell they love each other so much, and he looks up to her and she loves taking care of him. But then I've also heard like, well, if she was 3 or 2 and he was 1, then it's like a different story. So I didn't know, maybe if it's because of the age gap, I don't know.
Like I said, one is taken to the 4-year-old much differently than the other one, and really helps out around the house. If actually tonight they're watching the 4-year-old right now, because one's got to go to soccer practice and things like that. And they love doing that. They love being helpful.
You have free babysitters.
Yeah, to some degree, you know, but we also want to manage how to allow them to be teenagers and, you know, engage with their friends. It's really two different worlds. Is how do we allow them to have, you know, that experience, but then also mom and dad also want to do some things too, because we've been traveling, doing all the things to support their activities.
Yes.
So yeah, there is an expectation that some free babysitting is still to come.
Can I want to talk to you about something that's not on the sheet. Babysitting rates have gone up. That's why I got so excited when you're like, oh man, my 15-year-old and 13, and like me being so frugal, I'm like, oh man, free babysitting. Are you kidding me? Like, I think like a common rate is like $15 an hour, but I guess that's minimum wage now.
We don't really pay babysitting just because we have 2 older children.
That's what I mean.
Parents are here in town. So we have great resources. What we need is, I'm inventing a new thing. And if you want to get on the ground floor and help be some private equity, kid Uber. So I know there's teen accounts for Uber and stuff like that, but you know, those middle-aged kids, you know, 10, 11, 12 that need to go to activities and stuff, they need rides. Well, if you have a dual income family or you just can't make the means, getting those kids to those activities is crucial.
Oh, so just send them with a stranger.
Potentially, yes. Assuming they'll be vetted, you know, some background checks. But,
call them a cab, you know, put them on the city bus, you know.
Kid bus passes, great idea for the city of Springfield. We have lots of opportunities here.
That's a good stocking stuffer. You know what we got you, son? We got you a bus pass for the whole year.
Yes. So what we save in babysitting, we actually pay for in shuttling and nannying for the other kids. It's definitely a good balance.
That's awesome. So like before the podcast, me and you were kind of talking too about how you and your wife kind of divide and conquer. Mm-hmm. So like how does that look like on a daily basis? Because I thought I was alone when me and my wife go to bed at night. I go, all right, can you run down tomorrow with me? Mm-hmm. And vice versa. Like, she's like, hey, let's go over, like, what do you have tomorrow? What do you have tomorrow? And like, that's our nights now before we go to bed. So I'm guessing with you saying that you guys are divide and conquer, like you just said, your wife is with the kids for activities and tonight. Because
we have this event that we're recording right now. Yes. Otherwise, it'd probably be me doing something else.
But as a matter of fact, Terry's kids are right there. Come on in. Come on. They're here now.
We utilize a shared family calendar. And so every event goes into that calendar, and we have too many Alexa devices and too many digital calendars, things like that, so that the kids have access. Yeah. They have cell phones, which, you know, is a, Sophie's choice of, do you want that or do you not? for, just because of the content that comes along with those things and access and stuff like that. But it's great I know where they're at all points in time, and they know where they need to be. Dad, what color uniform am I wearing? I don't ever want to answer that question again. Yeah. And now you have access to verify all that stuff. But yeah, we spend every week planning out on Sunday night. It's the dreaded, all right, what are we going to do Monday through Thursday? And also the dinner menu. Like, how are we going to make that happen with all the activities? Are
we doing takeout tonight? Are we going to, pop something in the oven? Are we going to make something? Am I going to grill something? Yeah.
But the older kids have been helpful making dinners more often than not too, which is great.
Yeah, that's great. So that kind of brings us into to our next topic, and that's encouraging independence and self-reliance on your children. And it sounds like, with the 13 and 15-year-old, that's kind of, you're already on your way, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, my wife and I both work at Missouri State, and forever we've talked to our kids as adults and, made sure that they have, utilized the proper terms for things, and and just how they communicate with people, I think, is different because of how we've communicated with them since day one. Yeah. And just because we have high expectations of them, and we don't want them to be reliant upon us all the time. That resilience piece is so vacant in in the generations nowadays. Mm-hmm. And so we're doing our small part to help hopefully instill some resilience and reliance on themselves.
Yeah, I'm smiling because I'm thinking of, you working at the university, as we both went to college, those students that couldn't do those things.
They're still there.
I know.
They're still there.
18 to 20-year-olds that are like, well, I don't know how to do laundry. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to gas up my car. I don't know how to balance my budget for food.
Yeah. And that's why higher ed has great faculty and staff to help support the students. But it really does start at the parent side. And, I'm sure you're familiar with the term helicopter parents. And so we do our best at the university not to encourage that. We have events for orientation that we're getting ready for right now this week that, it says, let them grow. And that's kind of that conversation to help your student kind of be not, or not let the parent be all up in the business of the student. And that starts at the childhood age. And that's been the wife and I's approach and how we converse and how we set expectations for them.
That's awesome.
This Good Dads podcast is brought to you in part by our generous supporters. This week, we'd like to thank the following: Prime Inc., Table Rock Shores, Springfield Sign, Branson Public Schools, Mr. and Mrs. Bob and Susan Biney, Basis Financial Group. Thank you to all of our sponsors. Visit our website at gooddads.com to learn how to contribute to the Good Dads mission.
You brought up something before we started talking about that, and it's such a huge topic, and we talk to a lot of dads on this podcast about, and that's the whole cell phone conversation. Mm-hmm. And I love to ask this question just because, once again, we have a 7 and a 14-month-old. So we're not there yet. Yeah. So what I like to do is get everyone's perspective on this. So when it comes time, I can go, all right, I need to remember this. I need to remember that.
Yeah. Law of averages. Absolutely. I get it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So tell us, what you guys did. And once again, this is not, I just always want to remind everyone, this is not a preaching. We're not telling people what to do. we're just sharing experiences. That's what I love about, having you on here too, is just a dad sharing your experience, like what your family does and what you did, whether that's right or wrong for somebody else, that's work for your family. And that's what I love hearing, You'll
get transparency from me, both the right and the wrong.
Yeah.
But, for us, the decision point was when the kids started doing some travel for their activities, out of school stuff, and just us wanting to know not only where they were at all the time, but in case something went wrong, and that they had a way with which to get a hold of us. It was right around, I think, 10 or 11 that we really struggled with that. It was a frequent conversation in our house because even before that age, there were kids with phones in school at elementary school. I'm like, what is going on with this? And then, are we behind, that peer pressure, that social peer pressure from other
parents.
That's
where it starts, right? Because other kids have it. So then it's like, growing up, you're like, oh, well, then I should.
Yeah. They're comparing, the kids are comparing themselves against the other kids. Yeah. We're comparing ourselves against the other parents. But that's where you just have to feel comfortable with whatever decision you make, right or wrong, in that regard. And so for us, it was really centered around kid sports activities. And, growing up, my parents I grew up playing soccer and refereeing soccer. That was my job at the age of 13. Yeah. They would dump me off at the St. Louis Soccer Park or wherever I was refereeing games, but there weren't cell phones back then. But I had a payphone, so I had to get all of them.
Did you have change in your sock for a payphone?
Absolutely. I mean, that was the security blanket. There was always a way with which to get a hold of them, but you had a landline. Now that nobody has landlines, so how do you get a hold of people? You have to adapt. You have to adjust.
So I got to tell you this, Terry. This just reminded me Six Flags in St. Louis, because I grew up in St. Louis too. I may have been in sixth grade. So me and my buddies from our baseball team would be dropped off. I mean, it's a different time, right? We get dropped off at Six Flags because we had season passes. Well, they had a 1-800-COLLECT booth out there when that was first on the scene. Yeah. And I'm like, man, I'm going to call my mom. And she about flipped out. And I'm like, and she's like, what's wrong? Yeah. And I'm like, nothing. They've got this collect thing and it's free. You're not even going to get charged for it. They're I just want to try it. I just wanted to say hi. And she's like, just hang up because this is going to cost. And I'm like, no, Mom, it's not. It's fine. But now it's just the opposite. It's call me when you get there, text me when you get there. And I don't know, man, maybe it was just a different era. My parents were different, but they were like, don't call me unless it's emergency.
That's what it was. I grew up with other siblings and I'm sure they were busy doing other things. But yeah, I mean, if you were making a call, then something was wrong. Yes. Nowadays, it's kind of the inverse of that.
That's great. So the phone thing, just kind of have a plan and get to a certain age and just go, oh, okay, this is we're going to have a phone. Now, I would have thought, based on your idea a little bit earlier in the podcast, that you would just send them in an Uber.
Yeah, I mean, we had lots of conversation around that during COVID with other parents, some that don't work all the time, and we talked about almost hiring a parent to do all of the Ubering around with the kids. Man, it's still a great idea. If there's any private investors out there, just give me a call.
Back to kind of the self-reliance on your children. How hard is that? Sometimes to see. You can see your kids making a wrong choice or a bad decision, but you almost kind of have to go, okay, to teach that self-reliance that you were kind of talking about. They're going to have to make some mistakes, and I've got to kind of let that go a little bit and just not be the helicopter parent and let them kind of learn on their own. How hard is that sometimes?
Oh, super easy. Only because you have that opportunity on the back end.
Question.
Yeah.
It's a terrible question.
For me, I should say that, again, that's the difference between the wife and I, and probably many other parents out there too. Sure. I'm great with that because you can have the great conversation on the back end. Tell me what you were thinking about. What was going into those decisions that you were doing to get to that point? Why did you choose that?
Sure.
What caused you to think this way instead, go left instead of right, whatever the decision tree might have been at that point in time, but they get a chance for some self-reflection in a good, safe environment, not haha, told you so. Yeah. That's not how it's used. At least that's not how I use it. Yeah. But yeah, I'm okay with letting them fail. That's okay.
Because it's a good conversation piece.
Yeah.
You can kind of talk
life
and
lessons,
process
trial and error. That's okay to learn things. You're not always going to get things right every single day. I mean, the staff over at the union will tell you I get things wrong every single day. And
they're wrong.
Oh no. Oh, they're absolutely right. made a big gaffe before I came here, set foot in the door here. So fixed that. But yeah, there's no expectation for perfection, right?
Sure.
And so for them, they need to understand that, and they need to be okay with making mistakes, but they got to put themselves out there too. That's part of the experience too, is that they can't just be interdependent upon us as parents. They've got to feel some autonomy and independence for themselves too.
Yeah. So another question that kind of goes along with that is, what happens when your kids make a decision that you don't happen to agree with? And I think, as we hear a lot with adult children, and I've talked to a lot of parents about this, you know, and I'm not going to get into this, but like political beliefs, like, you know, their kids are here and the parents are here. I mean, that's just one of many examples, and I don't expect you to go down that avenue because your kid's probably not that old. But if they make a decision, not that it's necessarily like, you know, one where you get to reflect, like you were saying, but if it's just like, man, I don't agree with that, I guess, would it be in the same kind of realm as like, okay, we'll see how that works?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, part of it, again, going back to the trial and error piece, and, you know, we've learned life lessons from doing those things. And sometimes they just need to experience that. That's okay. And there'll be times where we're like, I don't know if I would do it that way. Yeah. You know, if they're going to, you know, hold a hammer and, you know, a nail like this, maybe I'll help coach them a little bit in that regard, but they still might need to have that experience at the same time too. Yeah. But providing a little bit of coaching without hovering over and trying to make that decision for them, that's so critical in life nowadays. Again, going back to the resilience and that, you know, persistence, the grit piece that we talk about as parents, as just people. It's dissipated now. And so I want to try to do my best to instill that in them. Yeah.
See, I grew up just the opposite. My dad was a little old school. So if I was holding the hammer and the nail wrong, he would let me know.
Yeah.
Actually, he would let me know very loudly.
There's something you said for absolute failure, but, you know, a little bit of coaching isn't a terrible thing.
I was thinking about this the other day. I you know, when I was younger and I was learning how to fish, you know, I wasn't too young, but I don't know. I was late elementary school or middle school. I was doing something and I kept saying, I'm sorry. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. And he was just like, just stop apologizing for it and do it. Like sometimes when I'm just like, when I say I'm sorry, I'm just like, I catch myself sometimes and I'm like, just stop doing it and just do it right, man.
We do that all the time with the 4-year-old. At least I do right now. And his big thing is, don't do that, buddy. Okay. And it's such a dismissive okay. And I'm like, please stop saying okay and just stop doing it. Okay. I'm like, you just did it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, he's 4. So
yeah, maybe
when he's 4.5, we will have a different tact. But
yeah, or you can just go, you don't really mean okay. It's not okay for you. I can tell it in the tone that's a bad okay. It's not an okay.
Yeah, he's got about 6 weeks left of that because it'll be 4.5 in 6 weeks.
That's right, and then that's it.
It's over with.
Yeah, absolutely. So Terry, we always kind of like wrap these Good Dads podcasts up with anything that we missed, or you would tell other dads or me, for example, who's, you know, someday our kids will be 13 and 15. I can wait.
Yes.
I can't wait.
Yes. My advice to all the students I work with is don't get married, don't have kids. But clearly I have not followed my own advice in that regard. But, you know, the big thing for me is just the communication between your spouse, your partner, whatever your situation might be. Like that is so critical, whether you're married, not married, together, whatever the situation might be. Having that communication is super critical, not only to their experience, but kind of being on the same page because the kids pick up so quickly if you're not, or they know who's softer than the other. Yeah. And it's a conversation in our household all the time. They know not to come to me. They know they don't call me. If they're in trouble, they don't call, or, you know, if they know they're in trouble, they won't go to me for comfort because I'm a little bit more strict in that regard. But having that knowledge ahead of time about how one's going to react and how, you know, what to anticipate, that goes a long way, making sure that you're on the same page and the kids don't play the classic mom and dad situation with you.
That's awesome. Well, Terry Weber, thank you so much. We appreciate it. I know that your Uberite is here.
Yes.
And we have to get back to finding the person who ripped out the bowling alley of Plaster Student Union. I mean, that's pretty much the whole premise now. I mean, it's kind of taken a different kind of a turn.
Quite a mystery to solve, and hopefully we'll get there soon. Appreciate the time. Thank you.
Terry, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Thanks for being here.